Today, a milestone in the race for Chicago mayor. The campaign started circulating petitions to get on the ballot. Under that backdrop, one 2027 hopeful joins us tonight to make his run official. John Kelly is here to get to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. Campaign 2027 has hit the streets. Tonight, operatives are gathering the 12,500 signatures a candidate needs to make the ballot in the Chicago mayor's race. Supporters of Mayor Brandon Johnson are among those passing around petitions. Johnson has not officially entered the race, but he's sounding a bit more like a candidate. Today, during a 45-minute news conference, Johnson defended his record and addressed his supporters gathering signatures on his behalf.
Look, there are a number of individuals that are eager to continue the progress that we've made over the course of my first 3.5 years. You know, as I've repeated on multiple occasions, there's no mayor in modern history that can ever say that they oversaw the city at a time in which our economy is growing and violence is going down. And so, you know, individuals who are motivated to see this work continue, you know, I'm not going to stop, you know, those individuals from making the case.
So what about timing? The mayor has less than $1 million in his campaign account, and big-name hopefuls are lining up for a crack at his job.
My focus primarily at this moment is ensuring that we continue to build progress in this city. And, you know, as much as I know that there's this hurry to get to February, I'm in no rush, right? I don't have a reason to be in a rush. Quite frankly, if there was any, you know, reason to be in somewhat of a rush would be to make sure that more progressives get elected in November.
We've been introducing you to the various candidates who want Brandon Johnson's job next spring. John Kelly hasn't run for office before, but he spent plenty of time at City Hall as a lobbyist, and he's starting out this race with a war chest north of $2 million. And John, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Tahman.
You just heard from the mayor. He's focused on doing his job right now. How can you do better?
I can do better because of my background, and actually to start where I'm from. This city has given me great opportunities, Tahman. My great-grandfather owned a hotel in 1890 that he built, and it was at 64th and University in the Woodlawn neighborhood. Fast forward 100 years later, I graduated 101 years later and did it in 4 years. Mount Carmel High School, I got to give a shout out to my alma mater. It was just 4 blocks from where my grandfather built that hotel. So serving Chicago and being a part of Chicago is in my bloodlines and in my families. I come from Chicago police officers, and my sister was a Chicago public school teacher. But the number one thing I have is a fire in the belly to do this job, because the mayor's job is an extremely difficult job. And I have gone out the past year to meet Chicago voters, and they talk about public safety. They talk about things that happen on the trains. They talk about high property taxes. I think with my background, I have the ability to work with everybody in the city council and even more in Springfield. You know, the last 2 days before you announce, you have to do a lot of preparation to run for mayor of Chicago. My preparation was calling 50 aldermen. I phoned and I called and left a message for all 50 of the aldermen. That is the number one job of the mayor of Chicago. You need to work with the 50 aldermen because they got elected by the people, and that's what you need to do to get things done.
You certainly have been around. You have those relationships.
Yes,
as
sir.
a lobbyist. You've lobbied for the White Sox, the United Center, Bally's Corp, law firms, and others. So you have a lot of clients. I'm wondering, have you created ethics rules given that you would come into this job with a ton of conflicts of interest?
Yes, we have deregistered. I have deregistered as a City Hall lobbyist. It's not something by law that I needed to do, but it's just a decision that I made, Tahman, that I would not feel comfortable having these clients. So,
do you still have your firm?
I still have my firm. Yes, I still have my firm.
Someone else would control it.
Control it, yes, and do it. Yeah, exactly. And I have had a code of ethics my entire career. And I think that that's something that's very important. But having had those clients is what's going to make me a great mayor. Because when you're working for clients, and we've had clients, large clients, small clients, we've also done non-for-profits. When you're working on behalf of those clients, you know how to make government work. And I know what it takes for businesses to succeed in the city of Chicago. And, you know, having the background I have in the city, it's really disturbing to me with the direction that the city is going and this lack of leadership. And it's really an anti-business kind of a feel. And so that's why I think that those clients are the ones that have really shaped me. And, maybe City Hall needs a lobbyist. I think that if the current administration was better at lobbying, we'd get more out of Springfield, because that's a big part of the mayor's job, is lobbying the city council and lobbying Springfield for that matter.
Would certainly be something different, but as a lobbyist, you of course have represented the wealthy and the connected. Why should the ordinary working person vote for you?
Because I've gone out there for the past year and I've listened to them. And I think that's what voters in Chicago really want. It's something that I'm very passionate about. And you're right, it's a different place to come from, Tahman. I'm not a career politician. I'm going to have a lot of people in this race. 4 of the people that are going to be running against me, Tahman, have run for 14 different offices in their career. 14 different offices. And in fact, 2 of the people running against me are going to be running for 2 offices at the same time. That proves the point. They want the title. I actually want the job. And I can feel it when I'm out there talking to people. They like a person that hasn't run for mayor before. They like a person that's not climbing the political ladder. I'm in this for the people of Chicago. I'm not in this. I'm running for mayor. And Tahman, here's another news story for you. I'm never running for anything other than mayor of Chicago, because to do this job right, you can't be worried about your next election.
We'll hold you to that. One of the ideas you're out with, you say you want to hire 1,000 police officers, and
Yes.
you'll do it in your first year.
Yes.
You can't do that in a year, right? It takes 18 months of sort of the evaluation period, 6 months of the academy, a year of probation.
Yes.
So how will you do that? How do you hire
It's a great
1,000?
question. We've done a study of what it costs financially to have 500 police officers go through the academy and the cost. With just attacking what we're looking at on the trains with the fare jumpers, we can actually pay for a good portion of that class by enforcing the laws on the CTA and the trains. People are nervous and afraid, Tahman, to be on the trains and buses, because I've ridden the red line, I've ridden the orange line, I've put myself on the blue line. We have talked to people, and the interesting thing is, not only are the passengers afraid, Tahman, but the workers are afraid. I was sitting in the bus, the old kind of proverbial side seat behind the driver, and the woman told me, I get fare jumpers on almost every day, Mr. Kelly. And I asked her what she does. She said, there's nothing I can do. I don't have any enforcement. I can't call the police. So there's a big number that we have for police officers. The other thing that the city needs is growth. We cannot cut our way out of these problems. We need growth in the city of Chicago. You look at the downtown, Tahman, is the Loop, the central business district, is almost 1/3 empty. And how can we pay for police officers? How can we pay to make our trains safer and better when 1/3 of our central business district, that's our economic engine, is 1/3 empty?
I got you. Let me get to some other stuff.
Sure.
The Sun-Times has reported on your wife making pro-Trump content. Are you going to help President Trump execute his Chicago agenda?
I'm going to worry about the Chicago agenda and the agenda that people talk to me about. The agenda is clean trains and safe trains. This is the partisan politics that people don't talk about.
But this mayor and then Mayor Lightfoot also had to sort of stand up to Donald Trump during moments. Will you do that? I mean, you're a Democrat, right?
I'll tell you why this mayor stands up to Donald Trump. He's not doing the day-to-day of the city of the job, because the day-to-day of the Chicago job as mayor is delivering city services and keeping people safe. When you don't have a plan, Tahman, there's an old saying in politics, you go to politics. I'm going to have my head down every day as mayor of Chicago, fighting for Chicagoans. I don't have a political agenda. I'm not going to get involved in these partisan politics. They actually hurt Chicagoans. Talk to the people on the Southwest side that are not getting the flood money from their homes because the mayor is fighting with the president. I don't think the job of mayor of Chicago is to battle the president. We've seen other mayors in history of Chicago, they've dealt with presidents from both parties. When you're mayor of Chicago, your agenda is the city and the people. It's not partisan politics. But when you really don't want to run the day-to-day of a city and not worry about what the residents want, you pivot to politics. You talk about the president, and that's the sideshow.
I've got less than a minute left. You have Chris Chelios as your treasurer, A.J. Perzinski, Richard Dent have written you checks. How do you know these
John
people?
Elway, you cannot forget John Elway, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Less of a Chicago connection there.
Yeah,
but how do you know them?
I've been blessed. I've been in the city, doing what I've done and being involved in the city of Chicago. They all think that the Blackhawks and the White Sox are great, and God bless them. We're in the best sport in Chicago. It's politics. It's a full contact sport. And that's why. So I've been blessed that I've gotten to know all those folks. And
This is your rookie season in that sport.
This is my rookie season. I have no
Making
idea how
your
I'm gonna
debut
do.
here, in fact.
Yeah, I'm making my debut with you, and
Yeah.
you're a Sox fan, so I kind of like that. So that's good news. But the things that people really want a mayor to talk about are what matters to them, and it's the basic stuff.
All right. John Kelly, thanks for coming in. Good luck on the campaign.
Thanks, buddy.
All
Good
right,
to see
thanks
you.
so much.
Okay.
We are back in 60 seconds. Tonight, we tip our hat to Politico's Jonathan Martin, who sat down with former Mayor Rahm Emanuel on Chicago's North Side. The pair shared a tavern-style pizza and interesting insights about the 2028 race.
There could be somebody else from the city running for president in 2028, Governor J.B. Pritzker. My sense of Governor Pritzker is that the folks in politics who came a generation earlier, or who were at least involved in politics before he was in office, still view him as kind of a donor, right? And that there's a perception in Chicago, at least, that he was a donor more than a principal. And that because of that, he's taken seriously by some of the old crowd here at home. You're smiling a little bit. Is that unfair, or you think that's fair?
Look, every one of us have strengths and weaknesses. He has his, I have mine.
Yeah.
Shapiro, Gavin, Chris
Would
Van
he be
Hal.
formidable, though? You think, Pritzker?
I think everybody's going to bring their A game, and you're going to have unlike 2024, you're going to have your choice. Does he? Look, he has resources, he has a record, he can run on what he wants to run. I'm going to do what I did as mayor.
That clip is sure to raise eyebrows across Illinois' political class as both Emanuel and Pritzker weigh their next move. Check out their full interview on YouTube. And that is The Point. I'm Tahman Bradley. Dina Baer is back tonight at 9 o'clock with more news. Don't forget about the forecasters next on WGN+. Good night.